I have sort of tentatively been on the schedule at some point this spring for a logging program. And we got to talking about the W4T event and how that will be logged. And Dave and I have had a couple of on the side conversations, and Chuck and Larry have previewed my outline, and tonight we're going to talk about how primarily how to do the logging for the W4T activity. There are some sort of givens up front that apply to this and lots of other things, and the first part of this I'm going to just jump around a little bit, but it's all bits and pieces that will come together in the logging process at the end. The first thing I want to talk about, those of you who have done FT8, you know that the timing is pretty critical. I and a lot of other folks, some in the room and a lot of other people, have used dimension 4 to keep the time within the narrow limits that are required with FT8. It starts and runs in the background all the time. If you want to know how good your time is, well, the time dot is, you see HTTPS, time.is will tell you exactly where you are. Now, earlier in the day, I was about 3/10 of a second off. So sometime between then and now, Dimension 4 has updated the computer clock.
So it's just HTTP time is.
Whack, whack, time is. Not a whole lot to look for there. Dimension 4, Larry has a link on the SCAR's website. The next thing we want to talk about is grid locations. And those of you who have done FT8 know that's a critical piece of the puzzle. The folks who are going to work W4T would like to know what our grids are when the program files get loaded into LOTW. The grids, and I meant to start these around. Here is a big picture of a grid map. Let's see if I can hold this up. These are the grids that cover the United States. We are in the EM area, and most of us are in the EM 74 block. There are a few of us on the south side, I think, are EM 73. So we are right in there on the borderline of those. Pass that around, and y'all take a look, pass it around that way. You can send that along as well. Tommy, you and Ken take a look and then pass it on around. Those blocks are divided into smaller blocks, and I could not find a good map or a good picture to take one of those blocks with the finer divisions. But what I'll do is just come right here, and Larry, is the grids link on the website?
Go back a couple of issues of the newsletters and description of grids and a bunch of links.
Okay, but right here, and this link is this link came off of the ARRL website. If you go on there and search for grids or grid location, this LevineCentral.com came from there. So if I plug my call in and submit, It tells me what my latitude is, what my longitude is, and what my grid is. All these numbers are important, you will see in a minute or two when we start the program. But there is the subgrid.
You live on the border.
The NA is the subset of the EM74 grid that you see on that map. Yeah, I'm pretty close to the border. When you zoom in a little bit more, if I can get down here.
That's the passport.
Yeah, you can see I'm a little bit of ways. My house is right here. There's the pond that's next door. And the house that's next door is across the line.
So you and Larry are different grids.
Yes, Larry is in the next grid up.
November Bravo.
He's in NB. I was looking a little while back and looked to John up, W4TXA.
I'm pretty close to a border also.
I
Seem to work.
I found quite an interesting situation with John.
My backyard is in another,
Well,
So your antenna's in a different grid square, right?
One zone, he's in another.
no, seriously. I have one antenna that's in the one zone,
Yeah.
and my other antenna is in another zone.
Half of your
so
house.
which half of your house is the ham radio station in?
Can you go one more step up?
I think that's the,
You can claim
Yeah,
two grid
there you
squares
go.
in the grid square contest.
so, John, is your radio station on this side or on this side? I think your radio station's back over here.
Pretty much.
You
Part
can
of it.
legally claim two grid squares in the grid square contest.
Yes. Yep.
Let me move
You
to the living
can
room.
claim more than one?
Yes. There are folks that set up at the cross and set their table right over where they determine that cross is and work from 4 different grid squares and QSO party contest
They do that for county hunters.
and county hunters. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So what's my subgrid?
you are
See, I,
EM73OW, and that's this one.
Yeah, that's your mailbox.
That's your mailbox.
but, as you said, my shack is in the back part of the house.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Anyhow,
to back up one step, the important part that you need right here is you need the latitude numbers and the longitude numbers. And as best I can tell, if for this one you use 3393, that's going to be wonderfully good. For this one, you're at 8475. I'm using the 2-digit decimal 2-digit for mine. But anyway, that's where you can go to find that, learn a little bit about it. We're going to have to ensure that each operating station in this, I won't say contest, but I'll call it a contest for lack of a better term, this event, each station that operates at their house will have to have their location information to turn in to Dave so that he can create the appropriate file with our location to turn in for the ARRL so that ARRL reflects our different locations.
yeah.
So this is very important in the long term. And if you have questions about your individual place or how to find the Rockmart place or the Hiram location, I'll be happy to help you work on that.
Some people will work you just to work the grid, they can care less about the town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the grid square contest this year, if you're in one they don't have, they want you to make your contact. One thing that I didn't know reading about this is many Garmin GPSs have a Maidenhead locator option in them. I've never noticed that on mine. I didn't have time today to look, but it says many of the Garmins have that. So that's the grid square piece of our puzzle. The next thing we want to do is go to, if you haven't downloaded the program already, or if you have and it's been a while, you want to come here. This is the N3FJP homepage website. Link is also on the SCAR's web. Come here, click on Amateur Contact Log, and download it. The only caveat that there is about doing this with the N3FJP programs, before you can install that, you have to remove the previous iteration. If you had Amateur Contact Log 6.1, you go into the Windows Programs, Remove, click on ACL 6.1 and remove it. Then you install this one. Now why that's the case, that's the way he wrote the programs. That's all I can tell you. But that's the process there. Same thing applies for all of the contest programs. If there is a QSO party this week for, let's see, state QSO party logs. What was it? There was an Indiana. There you can get the Indiana QSO party. Let's see, was there a Delaware?
Montana.
I don't have Delaware.
Now, Steve, may I interject something here? Be very careful because one, there's two
Yeah.
different programs. One is if you're in that state and one if you are not. So don't download the wrong one. Like if
Yeah.
you're in Georgia, don't download the out-of-state Georgia because you're in Georgia.
I was looking, I thought I saw the 7th area in here. Maybe that was
That's a different.
in a different area. But anyway, he has the program for all of the state QSO parties, tremendous number of programs.
All for one price.
I think it's $50, $60, and you
Yeah.
get 100 programs that cover about all of the ARRL contest, all of the CQ contest, and other not associated with either one of those. Let's see. There is the one for the Italians this weekend. That's the contest that they will be running this weekend.
Steve, if I can add, the nice thing about these is that they're custom set up. The template is set up perfectly for the exact data that's required to do your entry. So you don't have to toggle around to find the field to log in. That number just goes boom, boom, and it's right there. So it's a great deal. It's
Question. You said to put the new one in the 6.2, you have to you have to remove 6.1.
Or 5.8 or whatever.
What happens to the information that you have in that?
All of
the file.
The only thing you remove is the executable files for that version
It
of the
saves all your
software.
Yeah, the data is
information you put in.
preserved.
The data is preserved, all of your setup information,
It's just the execution file.
just the executable.
Okay.
If you have not been here a long time or have not seen this, I strongly recommend you go to the AC Log Guide. download this. It's not the freshest file in the world, but it is the best document for learning your way around ACL.
For those of you who are not, don't do well with written documents, he has YouTube videos that guide you through a lot of these processes, and that really
Yeah.
helps.
Somewhere in here, and I can't, yes, the other place is in the frequently asked questions. And he has every question you will think about using as you run this program in there. And if you scroll on down, you find the questions that were in that list up above and his answer and our response. So there is some help that's available for that. Like I said, the week before any contest or any state QSO party, go in 4 or 5 days ahead of time. And I say that just in case you have a problem. If the contest started at 0 UTC Friday night and at 9:30, which is 01:30 Saturday morning in the contest, and you have a problem, it's kind of late to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, that's true.
For us that are mentally challenged.
So, for folks that aren't mentally challenged, download it early in the week, spend a day or two, go through it and make sure it's doing what you want. I think that pretty well covers what I wanted to talk about right there. One other little side piece that I have on here, there are 2 Yahoo groups for N3FJP software programs. One of them is a users group. There's a lot of stuff involved there, going on there. The second one is strictly an announcement group from Scott, N3FJP, the author of the programs, where he sends out, says, hey, I've got a new thing. I usually set my groups up in the digest form, so I get 1 email a day instead of 10 or 20 if there's a hot topic. And I read the whole thing or scan through them, and once today, unless there's something going on that I think I want to minute by minute up to date information. Just a tidbit there. If you would like the link to those, send me an email and I'll send the links to you, or I'll get Larry to put them on the web unless are they already there?
Not for this.
Not for
software.
those, okay. The next thing that I had was the shortcut key, and every time I look at that, that's attached to the back of the document that I gave out. Every time I look at that, I find out something else that I say, oh man, you can do that.
Yeah.
So take and sit down in front of your computer with the login program and play with some of those. Now we're actually going to look at the login program. The first thing we want to look at is the setup file. And I have mine set up, all of mine, where this form displays on startup. I want to look at it, I want to see what the parameters are that I have set for this program. Because on the contest programs, on the state QSO parties, this information will change. You will enter information in here that is pertinent to that particular contest. Some of them you will enter your grid, some you will enter your county, any number of things that are part of the exchange for that program. But this is the standard generic log. So here you see I have the latitude and the longitude. I showed you where you get those numbers to the degree that you would want them. The call that we're going to operate with And the odd part of this, Dave, is I looked everywhere I could on the ADF files and all, and I can't find anywhere where it reflects that that's the call of the station that's actually running.
I was just gonna ask you that.
I can find in the ADIF files the call that is
The
put in
operator.
right here,
Yeah, the operator and.
and the initials, and if you're going to have several different people working at your station, I think what I would do, what I've done when we've done field day at my house and I've had folks come over, we used my call as the operator, control operator. I guess it's kind of the way I looked at that because I've had techs come over and work. And then the individual at the keyboard or at the microphone put their initials right there.
Yeah.
And I had a little short checklist for field day a couple of years ago when I had some folks over there, and in big bold letters was, open the setup file and put your initials in when you start operating.
Yeah. I suppose you could do, you could do either or both. It
And-
wouldn't make any difference, I don't think.
Well, it shows up in the ADIF file.
Yes, it does, yeah. Well, you see,
so-
if I can interject, that either one, initials, if coincidentally somebody has the same initials, that might be a problem. But the reason we want to do that is because on their certificate that gets mailed out, we're going to include the operator that made that contact.
Yeah,
And I had a point that, as you said, Steve, if you have a novice or a technician and you're out of band, you want the extra or the advanced call sign.
this call,
Oh, that's
my,
actually, yeah, that's a good point.
my thought process is this is gonna be K4BBH at your house.
Yes.
It's gonna be K4ELI at my house, at Rockmart. You declare this is gonna be K4BBH. At Hiram, you declare it's gonna be KM4ZMW, and you just set that. And the individual operators change their initials as
As the-
they change.
Yes.
Well, if you look at your facts, it says that section there is for other operators at your station. You're,
Yeah, this is optional. So this is, this is free form for the people doing whatever the activity is to decide how to use that.
Yeah, that's it. We'll have to, yeah, that's,
So there's some food for thought.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to do is just go through and hit all of the things that I think are pertinent in setting up and working what we're trying to do.
okay, what, if I can, sorry, Frank, but because you had in your setup, you had WT4, there really, technically, there shouldn't be any data there. I mean, you're just showing this as an example, right?
No,
Well, what I'm saying
this
is.
this is set up the way I would set this up.
I understand, but you've got contacts that you've made not under W4T.
It's set up like that for these contacts.
You've made those contacts under W4T?
These are dummy contacts.
Okay, that's, I just want to clarify.
They're dummy
Just
contacts.
want to clarify that.
At ease, Dave.
Clarity is important.
W4T is not on the air at my house.
That's fine. Are you sure?
Absolutely. The next thing I have is the country files. And this uses a file list that is generated by AD1C. I don't know who he is, but he does a yeoman's job of keeping up with all the DX countries, the operators at those locations, and the call signs. Every couple of weeks, download the countries file. And you click on that. And in my house, it would have already come back and said, all the files are downloaded. There we go. All the necessary country and band plan files have been downloaded. Please close and restart this program to load the new country and band plan files. So, just shut it down, and I downloaded it 3 hours ago. I'm not going to worry about what little changed for tonight's demo. But you shut it down and it reloads with the new files in place. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is how you create or what file names to use. And if you look right here, this is the file name that I have set up that I intend to use for logging the contacts. And you will see I have 2 or 3 examples there. I think it's in item number 8. I'm not looking at one of my handouts like y'all have. I've got mine with my notes on it. Logdata.mtd is the default name for the log files from this program. Given that we need to turn in the LOTW stuff, or the committee will deal with that at the end, but we've got to provide them with a file that tells them what our location was. And I looked at it and I thought, well, this tells what the event call is. This has the individual call and the individual's grid. I think I wrote on the thing, I had the second line, it was log data -W4T-K4BBH-EM73MX. I got that off QRZ. Is that? QRZ also will give you the grid numbers, but I don't trust them. I will get my official grids from the program we just looked at. But you go.
I'm sorry, there's one issue that is going to present a problem. That's a good idea to identify the file and pertinent information when we import it back. The only problem is that we plan on inserting the grid square in each certificate for those individuals. So, and since we're going to be doing mail merge, somewhere that's got to be included in the log entries. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to, in other words, well, I guess if we go into Excel, we can just create a field and copy it all the way down. That's it, never mind, I answered the question.
All right.
Sorry.
So, the way you set this up is, I came right here. I want to start a new log with a new database file, and realizing that if I selected the logdata.mdb, it will erase whatever is in there and create the new one. So that's where you come in, new, start a new log, and it will give you that opportunity. I'm going to cancel and not actually do it. But this is where you would create your file name for your equivalent of that right there.
You do that so that if you're only working W4T, say for a couple nights, and then you're only going to work it for like 3 hours, say, and then you want to go back to using your log because you're going to work some more, just go back in and open your other log up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? That way it's not intermixing with your log. Because if you do that,
You click open and you go open the other one.
Right.
Right, there you go.
Say, and Steve could open his master log.
Yeah.
Like, because, some of us, like my master log might have 4,000 contacts in it, but my WT log may only have like 80.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to send him 4,080 or
And have
try
to
to
sort.
pick all the W4s out.
That could be done, but
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
It'd just be a zoo.
Yeah.
So that's why we're asking you to make a new file for
That's
W4T.
strictly W4T contacts.
And that way it would be real easy to transpose them all to one place, and we can list them all and post, that way when people send us requests, we got everybody's
Yeah,
contacts. See, because they're gonna send all the requests into us, and then we have to check to make sure that they were contacted, and then we'll log them a QSL card or a certificate or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And this makes it simple if you do it that way.
all right. The next item here. How many of y'all have ever lost a computer file or a log file due to a computer crash? All right. There are two kinds of folks that are driving computers, just like two kinds of folks riding a motorcycle. Motorcycle riders have either been down or they're going down. You have either lost your data or you're going to lose your data, especially if you don't have it well backed up. We're going to talk about the backup options.
This is a marvelous, they've done a great job on this.
The options that he has for you is write a permanent log once a month, and I think I've got all three of these checked on my primary log. It writes that file into a backup that's dated the current year and the AC log area. Write a permanent backup once a week to that same file. Write a permanent backup of your log each time you close the program to the location of your choice. In addition to the backup options above, your primary log file is updated each time you enter a contact. That information is entered, it's written to the disk, the file on the disk is sitting there current, up to date. These are activities that copy that current up-to-date file to wherever and whatever time you choose to.
Question.
John.
If you have it checked that you're backing it up every time you close the program, why have it once a month and once a week?
For extra safety.
You hadn't lost a log file with over 10,000 contacts in it, have you?
Backup of a backup of a backup.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Okay, that third option there, if you have a thumb drive, or an SD card,
Or
a
a-
network NAS drive, that's what you want to put in there,
Right.
Yep.
because that way you can take it out at the end of your operation, or leave it in there, doesn't matter, but at least it's linked to an entirely different drive.
It's a physically different piece of equipment.
I leave my thumb drive right in the computer,
Mine goes
and
in,
as soon as, my computer runs 24/7. As soon as I get done logging and I shut the program down, it's already updated that thumb
For
drive.
those of you that know Old Testament, mine goes in the Holy of Holies. Never to be touched.
Now, you want to be a little bit careful with thumb drives because they do have a life to them.
That's true.
Thumb.
And so don't rely on just one. You can back up. I used to work as a service rep for IBM, and I used to have some bank accounts now when I say a bank account, that was an account of IBM's that I did the servicing for. And I always recommended that they had 3 backups. The first backup they should put on their local disk. The second backup should be on a local disk, different disk. The third backup actually was made on a set of disks that would not be kept on site. Because a lot of times when you lose a hard drive, for example, that hard drive, when it goes, you can't recover from it. If you have a program that has caused that destruction of that hard drive, and you put in a backup, guess what you just did? You fried your first backup.
My January event took the computer out along with the hard disk drive that was absolutely unrecoverable. James spent about a week, and then Chuck twisted his arm when he took the skeleton home with him, and James spent another week trying to make the skeleton work, and I don't think it ever succeeded, did it, Chuck?
For about maybe 3 days.
Well, if you lose your hard drive, don't assume for a second, unless you heard screeching halts when it came to a halt, that you've lost all your data. You may lose the part on your program where it boots up your system. And so you can get that, have a friend or something, put it on their system as a satellite drive, and there's a very good chance you can go in and recover all your files.
There is a chance. Don't put very good in that sentence.
Well, as long as you didn't hear anything when it was winding down, you're...
Got,
We're talking about platters this big.
Pardon?
yeah, yeah.
All right, come on. Ron.
Well,
Let's-
but it's the same thing on a lot of these hard drives today. I mean,
Let's get back to,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna skip around a little bit here. Looking at it, it makes a little more sense the way I want to do what I've got. If you've used this some, you know that what you're looking at here is not the standard look for this product. The standard look for this product is
Just hit reset to original settings down the bottom left corner.
Yeah, reset.
No, no,
is
no.
this right here. Well, it's hard to see, it's hard to look at. The lines don't show very well, and I've got the box clicked back a ways that says show the grid lines. They just don't show very well. So I go in appearance, and I go in colors and fonts, and I select the background, which if I just select that, turns it all gray, which I like that better. But I like, and I played with this a long time before I found this little tick right here. And it's real easy to distinguish the lines across as you look at that. I also, on this display, have changed the font for this display. The main list font, I've changed it to bold from whatever the not bold is. And my eyes like it a lot better. The biggest change that I made was I'll go in and the original cursor location is this little bitty blinky. Well, you know, you're in the heat of the battle, you've got folks calling, you're trying to log and type just as fast as you can. Where is the cursor? You can't find the cursor in the heat of the battle.
That's a good point.
The active text box. I picked the brightest yellow. There are lots of other colors available that you can choose. I picked the brightest yellow. I don't have to look. I know where the cursor is. as it goes bouncing back and forth, it's pretty obvious. And that was the biggest thing that I did.
That's a good feature.
I have also, if you look close at this, you will find this is quite a different order than the default.
How do you change it? How do you move? How do you move, like if you want to move the grid square right over next to, say, the call letter, how would you do so?
It's been so long, I've forgotten.
Probably a menu with.
There is
It's in settings,
settings,
other field titles and field behavior.
edit field, displayed position, and tab order. If you like mine, I'll send you the file, you just copy it in place of yours. There are,
I just wondered, I haven't tried it yet, and I want to move.
right there.
What do you want to move?
I want to move the grid square over next to their call sign.
Oh, just go up to the top of the column and grab it, pull it over.
Yeah.
Will that move it?
Grab it like spreadsheet.
Yeah, like
Um,
an Excel spreadsheet.
I set mine up, I don't think it worked like that when I made this, but I did this probably in a version 4
Okay.
software. Because I've had it like this for a long time. But this is the,
Grab the top of the column and drag it over.
Hold on, you've also got enable repositioning of all fields on main form.
Now, you gotta be careful with that one.
yeah, you want to play a little bit with this.
I haven't tried it yet, but I want to move it.
But that's, it can be done. And this is one of the places you can make it happen.
Yeah.
All right.
That's-
There are 4 files that control this. One of them is the colors. One of them is the location. The third one is the width. And can't remember what the fourth one does, but there are 4 parameter files. Maybe the fourth one is things that I have down here that are not standard. But that pretty well covers all of the background, the side pieces, you know, to kind of give a general overview of the program. And now let's say we're on the air, we want to make a contact with somebody. Like I heard this guy on the air. As you tab across, it auto-fills using whatever was the previous contact that was recorded. 20 meters, single sideband, the power, tab to the time on, and the 5.9 sent receive signal reports is the default. You can set them up. RST, use defaults. And in contest, those of you that have been there for more than one, you know the standard signal report, even if you have to ask for a field 4 times, is a 5959. It don't matter. If it's a contest, the signal report's 5.9.
That's it.
Plug it in, move on. Don't spin your wheels over non-essential stuff.
You get them from out to give you something else.
Sometimes you'll get a 5.6 or a 4.3.
Yeah.
And if you do, you come up here and I couldn't hardly hear old Stevie over there. He's way up there in Cartersville. When you get to right here, this is all you need to put in. Now I will say, if you have your radio tied to the computer like some of us do, not everybody does, the frequency will be filled in from the radio. So that would be already filled in. It follows, you can set tune the radio and that number will change until you hit enter.
And that's in the rig control.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball game that we're not gonna talk about tonight. At this point in time, this is all you really need to enter a contact. And that contact is logged. You will notice that I don't have some information here. You will notice that I don't have some information on several of these. I put these in to demonstrate one thing that I wanted to show. You can see I have down below here the earlier contacts. I have the names, I have the information, wherever they were. And I put a couple in that were foreign calls just to get a little bit of variety there. I had the call book lookup turned on these first contacts, but I wanted to turn it off and get some in here to show how this works. Now I have paid the QRZ enrollment process, I forget what they call it, but a few dollars a year, 20 or 30, something like that, to get the lookup from them. And when I enable that, and now I log, look what all I get. I tabbed one time, Stephen, Georgia, Bartow County, his address goes in the comments field. Now I get the contact information from what I'm doing on the radio. I can hit the enter key, I can hit the log contact. If the time off is blank and I don't keep tabbing down through all the rest of the tabs to get there, if I stop back up here, which is the last place I really need to be, it's going to put the current time in if that is blank. So I don't have to go past right here. You put the call in, and when you're operating this, during this event, pretty much you'll put the call in and you'll tab to right there, and you'll hit the enter button and you'll call CQ again. Now, how do I go up here?
Log your contact first.
Oh yeah. Now, how do I get that information in here?
Easy.
Shh, be quiet, Chuck. I pick those contacts, the ones that are in between here that don't have this information. I go to edit, fields determined by call, selected records. Or I'll do it a lot of times from record number to record number. In this case, I have selected the ones I want. Apparently I had the bio lookup turned on as well, and what that does, if you click on the call and it didn't do it, it will show you the picture or a clip of the QRZ page.
Usually it's the picture that he's got,
Yeah.
is QRZ.
So now I'm at the point that I'm used to seeing. This will fill all empty fields and all the records of your log that can be determined from the call sign. So they use the call sign and they will fill these empty fields. And you'll see the green line going across here that shows the progress. You will see the calls working through down here.
Well, it's
And this is
really slow.
very slow.
This is dial-up?
It's the, yeah,
Whatever they got.
It's the Paulding County Chamber of Commerce.
There it goes.
Did you
It woke
pick
up.
5G or the 2.4?
I only had one option. At home, this takes a second,
Yeah, a few seconds. Boom. it's done.
couple of seconds. With the new computer with the solid state drive, a half a second. There we go. Now we've got the guy over in Slovenia's name is Slavko. And old G0RAF in England is Robert. And there are their names, so it's added that. You will see it's added Steve's information on that first contact I showed for him. And you see it's added this information for the other contacts that were in there without information. But if you're sitting there calling CQ and the call that answers, you know, K4, BBH, biggest problem I have is typing. Come on. It's just being really slow tonight.
Well, Dave's not on the air,
That's the problem. It's looked and it couldn't find him anywhere. All right, there we go. Skip the date field.
You didn't bring up the QRZ picture.
Yeah.
I turned that off.
Oh, that's
It won't fill in the stuff. Well, that'd probably take another 5 minutes, as gorgeous as your picture is.
walked into that, didn't I?
It will, or it can, file remove duplicates. Now, I'm not sure what that'll do. I've got some duplicates in here.
Yeah.
Let's just see.
It'll
Are
show
you?
you which ones you're. By the way, folks, this is probably one of the most easiest programs
Oh.
to use. Once you've spent just a little bit of time with it, it looks intimidating, as do all of them, but this one here.
Very comprehensive too.
You know, I started using it last January, not this January, last year. Because, you know, I got my general license. It took me, you know, a couple days just looking through it, play with it a little bit, and boom, I mean, you know,
Steve?
through January of this year, I had 345 contacts, okay, in 1 year. I logged 345 contacts. Now, that's not a lot, you know.
Hey, that's
I didn't get a radio until, what, late summer, early fall, so I'd only had a couple months on the radio. I logged my 4,000th contact last week. Okay, so since January, I went from 345 to 4,000.
Do you do
So,
any work?
Every time I turn FT8 on, I see his call.
Hey, maybe you could, if it's feasible, to download like a state QSO module, just to show them how the template's set up and how effective that is. Maybe not.
All right, let me see. Are there any questions about logging these contacts? Because this was the real goal, was to get here and get that squared away. John?
How do you get this on the LOTW?
That's Dave's problem. Seriously, for this,
oh, well, if you're doing your own,
I'm talking about doing my own.
all right,
Well, but you gotta get the certificate.
there's a,
Yeah, that's.
I have mine.
You do?
Wait a minute, we're getting too deep here. First of all, if you're working something other than the special event, the W4T, John, you won't be able, we can't have multiple certificates to different locations. The certificate that LOTW requires will have to be probably registered to Dave's address.
Yep.
even though we're operating, so you wouldn't be able to do that, I wouldn't be able to do it.
For this contest, we will not upload to LOTW.
Okay, but
By the way,
We will-
that's an entirely different animal.
Yeah, that's a whole nother two meetings subject matter.
Yeah, particularly for the new folks.
You
Yeah.
have to go back to the question, how do we get this today?
Well, that's.
The way you
okay.
get this to Dave, and that's kind of where I'm going to wrap up. File, export
Yeah, it's-
the whole log.
Now, hold on, let me emphasize something. Whole log means your whole W4T
All,
log.
all,
Not
Create a
not
new
your
log.
personal log. This is the new
Yes.
log you've set up for
This is-
W4T.
this
At your
is,
house.
this is the log that you have with a name that's your version of this name right here.
And by the way, I like that convention. If we can follow that convention, that'll be easier for me to know whose log that came from.
That tells Dave who it was, and it tells Dave where it happened. And those are two of the things that he needs for the LOTW process. But what we'll do, file, export, ADIF, whole log, and it starts out like that. That's the default name. What I'll do right here, basically copy this information appended to the AC log ADI. And save. I won't put anything here.
Hold on. Put in the power. Otherwise it won't show up in your log.
Yeah, well, it'll take what's already there.
No, it does not. See where it says power? Right there.
You sure?
Yes.
Puts a zero if you don't.
Leave it blank.
Leaves it blank, Steve.
Okay.
Well, but is that critical? Do we really care?
Unless you get
Doesn't matter.
Peter.
No, except you end up with a blank column in your
Oh,
log.
wait, this isn't a contest. It's just-
No, no.
Now, if I'm doing this, and I will do this after each contest that I participate in, so I have a record. And what I will do there is I'll put
Dave kicked my butt again, doggone it.
Georgia QSO Party, to use the example of the last contest, 2018, Dave beat the snot out of me. Now, just something to know what this file is.
Yeah.
And it puts that in this area of each record.
Oh, it does?
Yes, that's what comment field for each
Oh, I didn't see that
exported
comment.
QSO
God,
record.
Didn't see that, okay.
So, you know,
Yeah, but you know, Steve, hold on one second. In the, when you're in,
yeah.
like the Georgia QSO party, is it in the comments field that it shows that? I'm trying to think, does it default? Like when you load a state QSO module and you import that back into your AC log. I
If
think
you
there's-
put it right there, it will.
Well, see, I've never done that, but it shows those entries that are been generated by Georgia QSO party.
There may be somewhere in there to click that it'll do that automatically. I'm
Well,
not
it may
sure.
import that from that module, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So, okay.
But I do it
Just
to be sure that it says what I want it to.
Okay, but it does do that, by the way.
Yeah.
So
But,
that might be redundant.
but you know, I don't know on this, if you want anything,
No, we just need their log.
Yeah,
We just need their log.
yeah, we don't need it, we
The
don't,
important thing is who's sending it and what grid square you worked at.
absolutely.
file was written. Okay. Now, here we go. AC log, ADIF, W4T, da-di-da-di-da.
There's the log.
There's the log. Let's go down to the end. Let's see if we can find Steve Morrison. Right there he is, 20 meters, the time, USA. 291 is the DXCC number for the US, Bartow County, his grid square, my initials.
So
ITU zone, sideband, the operator, K4ELI. And
Power's there.
power's right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you're looking at an individual record, right?
Yeah, this is individual record.
I think the point was, how do you get the whole file over to date, which is.
You send this file today,
In email.
yeah, an email.
An email.
Attachment.
Yeah.
in email,
Attach it to an
attach it to email, send it today.
Yeah. Well, we'll do at the end of, at the completion,
Yep.
we will, the reason we want you to notify us that you're working is so we have a list of who worked it. So when we get done on the 3rd,
You know who,
4th, we'll start saying, we need your files.
yeah,
Right.
you
So
don't,
we'll want to compile all that, the 3 of us are going to have to sit down and compile all that.
yeah, you don't
So
want
that
to,
as soon as we start getting cards in,
yep.
requests in,
You don't want to send the file before the end of the contest.
Right, wait till it's in.
Unless you absolutely know, I'm not working W4T anymore.
yeah, just hang on to it. We'll start collecting it
Wait
on
till-
Monday, the 4th of June.
Now, you know,
Just to get away, you know. So we're not trying to do things while we're still trying to work.
I hope that working this event as solo stations doesn't preclude a lot of you coming to the 3 major events. You know, because we're really counting on having people show up at my QTH and at the trailheads. So, I mean, it's nice to be able to have those that want to work from their home at their leisure, and that's great. But we really want to focus on the event points.
Yeah, the time that I will work from the house will not be those times. It will be weekdays during the
Yeah, as
during
I
the
would, of course.
day, during the night, whatever.
Sure.
But,
And what we'll do to make sure that we don't, I'm going to use the expression, step on somebody, meaning on the same band, same mode, is.
We'll have it on the website.
And I'll work that out with Larry so we can get it very concise. So that means that in your home operation, you say, hey, I want to start doing some ham radio. First thing you do is go to the SCAR's website, log in, and put the time that you estimate. Now, you know, if you say between 8 and 10, and you work from 8 to 9 or something, or I mean, we just don't want to have somebody say, gee, I heard both of you on. What's going on there? We want to avoid that.
One of the things,
All right.
I'd like to apologize for taking up so much of your time and interest on this event. This is probably one of the biggest things this club has ever done, and probably one of the most complex things.
That we're trying to do.
Yeah, trying to get it right.
all right.
And-
Are there any questions about the logging program relative to the W4T operations? Are there any questions about the logging program for other than the W4T?
Just, I want to clarify it in my head now. There's no special downloaded from the M3FJP website. We're just using amateur contact logs
Right.
with a renamed ADIF file.
That's correct.
Yes. And a renamed log MDB file right here, John.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, yeah.
You just have to make sure that's the log you're using.
Now,
Yeah, that's.
For
that's
you, it'd
critical.
be-
You want to use your.
K4SSE
Make sure
and,
that doesn't get uploaded to LOTW, make sure it goes to you.
well, you go in up here
LTW will reject it.
And- and you turn this off.
Right. You have to do all that manually anyway. I only seen that last night. I just got it set up last night. So if it's auto, it might get there. If I have to do it manually, it won't happen. So,
Okay, LTW rejected, it even rejects legitimate files half
Yeah.
the time. So,
All right. John had his hand up.
Dealing with LOTW and the intermix of the two, should we have a separate presentation on how to play with LOTW?
Yes.
That's a two-meeting presentation.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, it's getting registered and all that. It's not very intuitive. I hate to say
you're not using LOTW?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we are.
That's what he's asking.
That's why I'm asking, if I'm gonna get into contesting, I need to do that, don't I?
What?
Yep.
What?
Well, for the new people.
You've been beating on me for 2 years.
For the new people, we need to explain what LOTW is. LOTW is electronic QSL cards, sponsored by the ARRL. It's logbook of the world. So instead of sending paper QSL cards through the mail, it's an electronic approved method for the ARRL to certify work all states, work all countries.
Confirmation, basically.
Confirmation, electronic confirmation. So
There's
LOTW,
a
logbook of the world.
three-step process. You
Yeah,
have
you
to
won't set it up
register.
in one night.
It takes a week to get this done, so don't wait till
not
last.
That's
sometimes.
entirely different presentation.
You gotta get something in the mail.
And that would be, I would
Hey, Rick?
love to have somebody
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I see that.
Who would be the best one to give that presentation?
I think,
Wow.
Chuck.
Hey, who was the guy that, showed up at the, Southeast DX corporate, presentation, club presentation? Remember I asked him some stupid questions about it, and the guy had the right answers, told us exactly. He was from the ARRL, or local representative, ARRL.
I can't remember.
Yeah, because I asked him about what does LOTW actually need for confirmation, and he said there's only 4 items out of all
Yeah.
that crap you submit
Yeah.
that they only use for.
When you,
All the rest of it's just to verify you.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
when you click on this all contacts not uploaded, there is a very small subset of your information that gets loaded to LOTW. Like Chuck says, 4 or 5 items.
And the time's not all that critical, within 3 minutes, gotta be within 3 minutes what the other guy wrote.
Now,
Don't you have to have something from the RST side to match too?
Nope,
nope,
doesn't matter.
it's a call and a time primarily.
Call time, date, and mode.
Call time and frequency.
And, band.
Land and date.
Yeah,
I think.
and then mode is dependent on
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
doing an award.
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus 5, I think he said, yeah.
That was 15 minutes, wasn't it?
If you want to know,
Yeah.
if you want to know what ACL records for a contact, this is a picture of all the fields that it records. These are the ones that you see. These are all hiding in the background with some extra information.
You got a suggestion?
Now, Steve, did you see that there's an operator there?
Yeah,
And when you go in,
So I like the idea of having,
and the county and things.
both operator and,
The initials are right there.
I like. See, because, well, 6 1/2 dozen of the others.
And if you got any questions on this program, there's a couple of us have been using it for a number of years. Steve, myself, I think
Yeah.
Dave's used it for a few years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little
Thank
unique tricks to help you out. But, so, give us, any of us a call and
Under the help, the view online help, goes back to here. And
Steve,
this is a different file. When you go here, you've got the tutorial, installation, contest setup, tips and tricks, digital quick steps, which Dave probably, or John probably found some of these. But there's a lot of information out there, and like I said, I strongly recommend you download the book, the guide. I'm a book. I like to hold the pages and read them, and I sat down with that book and the login program on the screen and just step through it one step at a time.
Steve, could you, is it feasible for you to set up a logging program, for a contest or for a state QSO party, so they can see an example of a template that's tailor-made just for that contest? The reason being is because it's very efficient to use these templates, because the templates only require, or every contest requires certain pertinent data, and some it doesn't. And it's always nice to be able to tab over and just record just that information, and then it tallies everything accordingly. It's very, very well done. And it's designed to operate in a contest mode, because you tab
That's what I'm surprised about the Duke checker, because if it doesn't tell me right then, I've already talked to this guy 5 times.
Right, and it does that.
Oh, it does?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. A voice comes out and says, "Dupe, dupe," red light, boom, lights go on and off. And
Does this have the radio interface built in?
absolutely. Absolutely.
I already got
I got a suggestion back to the ADI file when we export it.
Yes.
I recommend that whatever your grid square is, that we put that into the comments field. Because once you import that ADI into your log or whatever, you don't have any,
I don't have the, well, I'll have the file.
you'll have the file, but if you put all those into one log database, you're not gonna know whose is who, unless you go.
Well, we'll have, okay, well, if they put
Yeah.
their initials in the setup.
Yeah, but if they operate from a different location, you know,
So what you're
Yes,
saying,
yes, yes, that's
So-
very, very pertinent, you're right.
so what you're saying is
just
for
put,
each file,
each time you export it, you wanna put your grid square that you were operating from.
Right.
So if you're gonna operate from multiple locations, you're gonna have to generate separate
well,
files.
the log at Dave's house is gonna be a different file.
I know, but if he
But I'm
imports
gonna
them all
import the
into,
data, I'm gonna import
Yeah.
each file into the master file. And I need, no, it's even more, it's gonna have to be, because that ends up in the comments field. But there may be other comments.
And let's work that out offline.
Yeah, that's a,
That's a
that's a after,
yeah,
that's
the
that's
reason
a
I say that
committee
is because
question.
I'm looking
But
at
that's-
ADI file and there's nothing in there that shows the operator's location.
This is a good, at least it gets it
Yeah.
in each record.
Right.